Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope your day and your summer in our wonderful country of Canada is going just great. Pictured behind me here is a scene from Niagara, wine country in southern Ontario. In those beautiful summer evenings in Canada, there's nothing like sitting outside with a nice glass of wine in the evening. And guess what? Business for Canadian wineries in both Niagara and British Columbia is booming, and Canada has single-handedly, successfully crushed the U.S. wine industry. And I do mean crushed. Reported here on the Robb Report, August 8th, U.S. wine exports to Canada have plummeted 97%. Canada offers a resounding response to Trump's tariffs and the 51st state rhetoric. This has been a massive boycott, and it's hit the Americans hard. How hard? I know there's probably some Americans watching saying, well, we don't need Canada. What's Canada? Our wine industry will be just fine. Well, you want to see some numbers? Here we are on a USDA, U.S. government website, where they report on U.S. wine and related products exports in 2024. The 3-year average of value of U.S. wine exports is $1.32 billion per year. The top markets for U.S. wine exports are listed here, Canada being number one, importing, this is as of 2024, almost $500 million of that $1.32 billion worth of U.S. exports. Canada represents over a third of the export destination for U.S. wines. A distant second is the European Union, and then the UK and China. Canada, in fact, used to import more wine than the next 3 customers combined. And excluding the European Union and the United Kingdom, Canada imported more than basically the rest of the world. Canada represented by far the United States' top export market for wine. And in the graph below me with the color scheme, you can see that big, thick wedge of green, that represents the Canadian export market for U.S. wine. You can see that by far, that green wedge is the thickest and most consistent on that graph. Now, when this graph is updated for 2025, that green wedge is going to shrink by 97%, basically crushing the U.S. wine export market. And we Canadians should feel proud that we've basically all decided to choose Canada, and we've effectively boycotted U.S. wine imports. And it's starting to rain. As you can see, I'm recording from a new place here. This is my summer mobile recording studio. I'm actually on a trip to Osoyoos, BC to do some wine tasting. And I'm in my little camper doing this video, and it's just started raining. But reading the headline here from CBC, U.S. booze boycott becomes a much-needed boon for BC wineries. And if you don't know the definition of the word boon, that's a good thing. Look how happy this BC winery owner is, as his business is booming. Ontario wine sales surge after U.S. products pulled. And I have to point out here that if you just took the province of Ontario, it would represent the largest importer of U.S. wine in spirits in the world. Bigger than any other country, bigger than the EU. Just Ontario. We Canadian consumers have power, and the U.S. wine exporters' loss is our gain. And most of this was made possible by our united Team Canada approach right after Donald Trump introduced his tariffs and started escalating his rhetoric towards our country, and the United States became hostile to Canada. We took this Team Canada approach, and all the provinces worked together to basically boycott the import of U.S. spirits and wine. And that's resulted in a 97% drop in wine exports from the United States to Canada. But wait a minute, why does it only represent a 97% drop if we've basically boycotted them and pulled their products off the shelves? Shouldn't it be a 100% drop? Now, as I switch to a new background picture, this is a Osoyoos picture behind me. That's where I'm going tomorrow to do a little wine tasting myself. And I sadly report to you now that there are 2 provinces in Canada that have sadly not stuck with this Team Canada approach, and quietly behind the scenes have lifted the restrictions, stopped the boycott, and allowed U.S. wine and spirits back to be sold in their provinces. Can you guess which 2? I'll give you a second. Can you guess which 2 provinces have done that? Surprise, surprise, as reported here on Global News, Alberta buying U.S. alcohol again, months after pause meant to fight tariffs. Alberta quietly did this back in June. Service Alberta Minister Dale Nally said Friday, back in June, that the move signaled a renewed commitment to open and fair trade with the United States. Can you wrap your head around that? Alberta, who's always whining at the rest of the country, hey, we want to be on Team Canada. We want our whole country to work together. We want you all to help us build pipelines. What kind of solidarity, what kind of team player is Alberta to the wine producers in BC and Ontario? Nice move, Danielle Smith. And of course, just a couple of days after Alberta lifted restrictions, who followed? Scott Moe. Saskatchewan to put American-made booze back on the shelves. Boy, with friends like these two, who needs enemies? And I have to commend the Canadian people, because even though these two tone-deaf premiers who can't read the mood in our own country have done this, the Canadian people have still said no. Even though those two provinces are allowing U.S. wine to be sold again, we've still crushed the U.S. wine export business by 97%. It should be 100%, but it's only 97%. And if you're from Ontario or BC, the two wine-producing provinces within our own country, or if you're from Alberta or Saskatchewan, or anywhere else in our country, and you're kind of pissed off about this, well, you can leave a comment in the comment section here, but you know where a better place to complain is? Let me show you. I'm here on the Alberta government website, and I looked up how to contact the Premier. You can submit this form here, and I will link this in the video description. You can click this link, Submit Form, and voice your opinion directly to the Premier. Or there are other ways to contact the Premier. These are the other ways. You can phone her in Edmonton. Her phone number is 780-427-2251 in Edmonton, or toll-free 310-0000 in Alberta. Or if you're from outside Alberta, you can give her a call at 780-427-2711. You can also send her an email at premier@gov.ab.ca. If you go to the Saskatchewan government website, it tells you how you can contact the dishonorable Scott Moe. You can phone him at 306-787-9433. Apparently Saskatchewan still has fax machines. You can fax that number, or you can send an email to his office at premier@gov.sk.ca. It's so predictable, isn't it, that the two provinces that would be so tone deaf to open their markets up again with what we're going through with the United States would be Alberta and Saskatchewan. Send them a message and let them know what you think. Behind me here is a graph that shows what most Canadians think. And this is the monthly U.S. wine exports to Canada over the past 10 years. And this is in millions of dollars on a monthly basis. And some of the spikes on this graph have hit values of between 50 and 60 million dollars a month of imports of U.S. wine into Canada. And look what's happened to it. It's just fallen off a cliff. This is the most beautiful graph I've ever seen. Well done, Canadians. And this is what we can do and the power we have. And we need to do this to all American products. The U.S. is hitting Ontario hard, putting tariffs on the automobile sector. So if you live in Ontario, and that's where most of our consumers are, Ontario and Quebec, if you need a new car, would you seriously consider buying an American car now? A car that's made or assembled in the United States? Are you nuts? Do you know the power that we have if everyone in Ontario that needs a new car now would just make a list of the choices you have, cars that are assembled and produced in Ontario itself, or cars that we import from other countries like Japan or Europe? And if everyone in Ontario just stopped buying cars from the United States, do you know what that would do to their market? Do you know how big a market Ontario and Quebec is for vehicles from the United States? Use your power and influence. Spend your money here and do exactly what we did to their wine industry. Their wine industry is effectively crushed now. They're going to see a 1/3 decrease in their exports. It's going to crush their profits. They'll be begging for Canadians to start buying their wine again. And we can use this power on many different products where we have options, where we can buy things from other countries. And we don't have to rely or wait for our government to hold our hand and impose retaliatory tariffs. We can do it ourselves. This wine boycott has shown us the possibilities, and I urge all Canadians, when you're going to make a major purchase, for example, automobiles that I just spoke about, that is typically the second biggest purchase that anyone makes next to a home. Do you know the power, the value of that money, of that purchase, if you stick to made in Canada, or at the very least, if you just don't buy anything made in the United States? This is what the economy is. This is how it works. The United States has declared economic war on the whole world and imposed tariffs on everyone. Well, let's just buy from ourselves and other countries and exclude them. They will be crushed. And every time I do a video like this, trying to instill that patriotic pride in Canadians and try and make us work together and use our power, there's usually a couple of comments from Americans in the comment section, because there are about, 70 some odd million Americans that did not vote for Donald Trump. And there's usually some comments, oh, don't take it so poorly, Canadians. Just remember that not all of us voted for Trump. It's not us. The majority of us don't support the president. I live in a blue state. Please don't boycott us. Keep coming and visiting. Keep spending your money in our country. And there was one particular comment that made me laugh. The person said, well, it's not a majority of people that voted for Trump. It's a plurality, or some word that means a number which represents more votes than the other side, but not a majority. And the real reason was just because some Americans didn't bother voting, and that's why he won. And in the future, if we can convince those people that decided not to vote, we can vote him out. So don't hold it against us. Everything will work out. Please keep coming and visiting our country and spending your money here. And I just laughed at that and thought, no, that's not how we Canadians handle this. What he was effectively saying in his comment, and I don't know if he realizes it, he was saying that we Canadians should put our faith of our future in the hands of people that were lazy enough and stupid enough that they didn't even bother voting in the election. Those are the people that we should count on in the future. Those 10 or so million Americans that were stupid enough, uninformed enough, and unmotivated enough that they didn't even bother to cast a ballot, maybe they'll turn up next time and everything will turn out okay. Canada should just rely on those morons and maybe things will work out. That's not how it works. I'll tell you the Canadian plan. This graph shows you how it works. We'll take matters in our own hands. 100% boycott of everything American. No traveling across the border, and not one penny spent in the United States. Red state, blue state, doesn't matter. We look after our own future, we make our own plan, and we execute our plan. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I have to reiterate that this is just fantastic news because it's a perfect example of the US's loss is our gain. And now the beautiful wine growing areas in Canada, mainly in British Columbia, the Okanagan, and in Ontario, Niagara, are seeing a boom in their sales of wines, and they're seeing a boom in tourism as Canadians travel within our own country, and these are beautiful places to go and visit. And our national pride and our actions are just helping ourselves. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Leave some comments in the comments section. Let me know what you think. And if you appreciate my work and you want to support this channel on a monthly basis, consider becoming a channel member by clicking the join button or clicking the link that I leave in my comment that I pin to the top of the comment section. Have a fantastic rest of your day and summer, everyone. And I'll catch you all on the next one.